Well, it looked like it was going to be one of AJ's landmark achievements that he ended the career of Vladimir Klitschko. But apparently he wants to come back and fight Tyson Fury. I just heard sporting icons, pick yourself up, talking about it. And he's teasing a return to the ring to fight Fury, intrigued by the possibility to break George Foreman's record. Vladimir is currently 46 years of age. And George Foreman, they're saying, was 45. I thought he was 44 when he knocked out Mora. And we're going to get to his prospects, his chances of how he would do in that fight in a minute. He says if he's in good shape, who knows? Which means he is in good shape. He says the war against Russia will soon end. That's what he believes. And he says sport is part of his life. He said, despite the war, you shouldn't forget life. And he's right. He is right. He doesn't want to promise anything, but he says if he's in good shape, and above all, the war in Ukraine will soon come to an end and our borders exist without any invasion coming from Russia, then in the end, who knows? I don't want to hear about the black people in the Ukraine from anybody unless you're going in there to crusade for them. Any color of person having their dreams threatened by that kind of oppression, you have to feel for them. Yes, I know they have some right-wing movement in the Ukraine, but that's not even the majority of the Ukrainians. They're artists, they're athletes, they're skilled tradesmen and women, they're senior citizens just looking to see their grandchildren grow, enjoy a nice, quiet life until they see out their time. That's an aspiration all people have in common. All people. All people. So, Fury may look at it like, well, Vlad gave him an opportunity, whether it was a mandatory or not. Vlad could have just said, whatever sanctioning body Fury was a mandatory for, he could have just vacated the belt. And you know how people talk about vacated belts, right? He gave Fury his opportunity, and maybe Fury may feel obliged to fulfill his commitment, which he welched on, and finally clear up that situation. Now, it's not a good idea for Vlad. It's not a good idea. We'll start there. It's not a good idea. At 46 years of age, it's not a good idea. He retired on a high when he fought AJ at Wembley, 90,000. A great sporting event and a great fight. He finally got his accolades from outside of Eastern Europe and Germany after being berated in America for so many years. Does he really want to go in there and Fury toys with him and then have to endure all that criticism of why he came back? Yeah, Vlad was awful in their first fight. But now this has just trickled out that he wants to fight Fury. Here's a few things you need to know. Vlad is in shape already. He's in shape. Vlad is obsessed with Fury, or he wouldn't take the fight. Remember he said he was obsessed with winning that belt from AJ? This wouldn't come out if he wasn't obsessed. He's had 7 years now, to assess what went wrong in that fight and what he can do better. Vlad will be going into that ring knowing what Tyson Fury is capable of more than any other opponent he's faced. He will cut no cost in his training preparations, and although I don't like the fight for Vlad because I'm a fan, I don't like the fight for him. If he comes in around 17 stone and isn't totally shot, if Fury is coming in at 19 stone, which is considerably heavier than when they first fought, Vlad's feet could be a factor where DILLIAN's and Deontay Wilder's were not. Now Vlad will be fighting a more experienced Tyson Fury, a heavier one, not as mobile, but this version is trying to put more power in his punches and actually fight what I would call a traditional. A lot of people will say Kronk. I won't say Kronk. I'll say an American heavyweight style, not herky-jerky, flicky, jabby, but bang that jab in and get power shots in and lay your man out. And Vlad's go-to move was tying his man up, and Tyson Fury is tying up effectively. He tied up quite a lot against Dillian. He's very much a professional heavyweight now. You know, that can't be denied, even if you're a hater or a detractor. If you're doing any real fight study, you've got to tell the truth. I'd embrace the fight, but maybe after he's had a few warm-ups and tune-ups, tries to rid some of that ring rust and we see what shape he's in, to at least, know that he could possibly make it a contest at 46 years of age. He's obviously inspired by George Foreman. Is it just talk? Well, we'll see. Don King has no intention of throwing his $3 million bid down the drain. He's making sure Trevor Bryan will be prepped and ready for his eliminator against Daniel Dubois. And he has no other than Larry Holmes in camp, looking over Trevor's preparation for this huge fight. Now, can Trevor get himself in shape? Is he just in fat camp, which is not going to be good for his prospects? Now, we still don't have a venue for the fight. We don't have a venue. What Don is going to do for a broadcaster, all this fight website is just create. If you're spending the kind of money for a purse bid and then putting it on fight, you're just asking for a loss, right? But they're bringing Larry Holmes, or they've bought Larry Holmes in camp to give Trevor Bryan some valuable lessons. Trevor Bryan is 32, Daniel Dubois is 24. Trevor has 22 wins, no defeats, 15 KOs. Daniel is 15-1 with 14 KOs. Now, Daniel will go in as a bookmaker favorite, no doubt about that. But it's all down to his preparation for this fight here. He's with Shane McGuigan, so Shane is the new guy on the block everybody's talking about. But the jab is something that Daniel struggled badly with Joe Joyce. And if Larry Holmes can get Bryan to prioritize that jab as the building block on beating Daniel Dubois, this may not be the one-sided blowout that a lot of people think it will be. Larry Holmes had one of the best jabs in the business, maybe the best. Well, it looks like Joseph Parker is going a different way from Matchroom onto Queensbury, at least for this fight here against Joe Joyce. It's a good fight. I just found out it's on pay-per-view. I don't know, look, Parker, in my opinion, he's lost 3 times on British soil. When I say 3, I don't think he beat Chisora first time around. He won the rematch. It's a bit uninspiring in the big fights, to be honest. Joe Joyce doesn't seem to have kept the momentum after he beat Daniel Dubois. I think Frank's dropped the ball a little. And let's face it, Frank wanted Daniel to win. And now Joe's just having to take whatever Frank gives him. And this is a good fight, but it could be compromised by putting it on pay-per-view. I think they did this on the back of the Fury versus Dillian fight. It's probably trying to get some consistency putting on pay-per-views. But it'd be interesting to get back them Fury, Dillian, Whyte numbers. See what they are. For some dudes to kind of mock female boxers, kind of got a nerve, really, because I watched Amanda Serrano trying to do a study on this Katie Taylor fight a Mexican lady named Mercado, and Serrano was lighting her up with some big shots, and my girl just took it and kept going, bro. You know what I mean? Let's face it, a lot of dudes don't have the fighting heart of a lot of what these women do at boxing. They can say whatever they want. You don't have the fighting heart that what a lot of these ladies have who are going in the ring. That's just the fucking truth. You got to give people their due where it's due. The lionesses of the ring deserve their due. This isn't about you as a dude has to go into boxing. It's not about that. It's about you sacrificing a whole lot of stuff and giving it up just to become what you want to become. And it doesn't have to be a boxer, just like a lot of the female boxers are doing. Now remember, most of them are not getting the money that what Amanda or Katie will be getting on Saturday. The vast majority don't get to that money. And they're still there trying to get to that level. And most of them are never going to get there. Most of them are going to just be like the doo-doo box, broken dreams, as well as the problems you get physically, whether that's neurological, taking punches to the head, brittle bones in your hands, and all of the crap. That's what they're going out the game with, and they still choose to pursue it. It all depends if Serrano can retain speed and power moving up to 135. I don't think she can outfight Katie or outvolume Katie. I think if anyone's going to land the crisper shots, it could be Amanda. But Katie has fought the likes of Jessica McCaskill, very physical and very strong. And I thought it was a controversial fight. I don't think at 135 Amanda can bring the kind of attrition that Jessica McCaskill can. And let me know in the comment section, has Jessica fought anybody who can bring the attrition like Pursoon? Katie's fought a couple of these people who were like fucking scarily relentless. And she's got the W's, and yeah, I think them W's are controversial, but nevertheless she got them. I think Amanda's a bit of a bully in a good way, you know. She likes pushing the action, pumps that jab out there, throws with a lot of power. Katie needs to turn this, at times, into a brawl. Don't give Amanda time to set. Don't give her time to set. Bring that Irish hurricane to her and let her know, I'm not going to let you breathe. And the other way to not let her breathe and set is to box. And Katie can box and move, but she needs to box at a high tempo. A high tempo. And she can do that. And she does have a good gas tank. Now, her issues may be her punch quality, which I've said on several times. I'm just not impressed with Katie's punch quality. It's a little scrappy. Now, I don't expect much of that to change, right? And it all depends on the politics, if it goes to the scorecards, which I think most likely it will. It could come down to interpretation, what style they like better, or who paid off the bigger bungs to the judges. I'm looking forward to it. It's on DAZN. I'm definitely watching it. I won't be sleeping on Liam Smith versus Jesse Vargas. I think it's a very good matchup at 154. I'm looking for Liam perhaps to get a controversial points decision win. The Scouser better not let me down. Now I've made a prediction and not turn up. You better fucking turn up. It's a good fight though. Jesse is normally in competitive fights. Normally. He's had his fair share of controversial decisions as well. Now, I didn't put it down to this sole reason. I made about 4 scenarios on the quiet nature of the press conference with DILLIAN and Fury. And the last one, I said I think this could be a ploy. Tyson wants a low-key press conference. He doesn't want all the animation. He doesn't want people jumping up to grab necks. No big dossa talk or any of that. Nice low-key press conference with the theory it will transfer into a nice low-key fight. There's always psychological warfare at play, no matter how subtle it is. This time around, as Eddie Hearn is saying, it was brilliant mind games from Tyson Fury. Of course it was. And it's either just a coincidence, some of the stuff that Eddie comes out with or other people come out, if they haven't at least glimpsed through what I've said in my video. But Hearn compared how angry DILLIAN was when he fought Joshua, when he lost to Joshua. Eddie said, the man that fought Joshua was a bad motherfucker ready to go. Back then, if Tyson Fury had tickled him in the press conference in the head-to-head, DILLIAN would have cleaned him out on sight. And he's saying this was brilliant mind games from Tyson Fury. And this was my assessment. That's why Tyson quickly defused John Fury when the two camps were head-to-head. The psychological warfare in boxing, some people might think, yeah, you're talking about me. Listen, Muhammad Ali got so animated against Sonny Liston, they took his pulse and it was alarmingly high. They were talking they might have to call the fight off. But Ali was so desperate to get Liston's attention and let him know that I'm coming here to win. I'm not coming here to mess about. Liston pulled out a replica revolver, I believe, on Ali and let off a couple of rounds when Ali turned up at the casino. And then Liston exposed the barrel and there was no bullets in there at all. By that time, Ali had cleared out. But Ali was driving past Liston's house, making up a whole load of noise. He was trying everything, you know, to get in Liston's head, and I think to amp himself up for the performance. Because if you watch the performance, like, Ali is just switched on. He's so switched on. And Liston looked a bit subdued. He fought like a man who had all the burden of being the favourite. Scared of what people might say if he lost to this underdog, this imposter of a boxer who was doing things that the textbook said you can't do. Drop your hands, pull back from punches. This guy surely isn't credible. And Liston lost his belt. This is why Floyd told Adrian Broner in the build-up to the Sean Porter fight, you need to go lie down, champ. Just go lie down and rest. Think about it, Broner. Nope, I want to party. I want to talk to everybody. I want to be animated. Because your energy conservation is all important. Now, you can choose not to conserve the energy and try and intimidate your opponent, and it may work, depending how much energy you have. If you have the energy spare and it works, fair enough. But other times, you have to set the tempo, not from the first bell, but from the press conference. And by Fury being this accommodating, what's up, Dillian? Shake hands. I think Dillian's a great fighter. This is going to be a great toe-to-toe battle. Someone's getting knocked out. That allowed Team Fury to carry out their game plan. They didn't have to worry about someone getting all up in their energy. When someone gets all up in your energy, it takes all of your ability to stay cool. Because the first reaction is to lash out. You lash out, you're angry. And when you get angry, it takes a while to calm down. You may need people to say, yo, don't worry about that, man. Save it for the fight. Save it for the fight. But what they did, they conserved their energy. And I'm talking mental more than physical. And they boxed at their own pace. They tied Dillian up, right? They didn't brawl with Dillian. He didn't goad Dillian like he goaded Wilder. Come on, hit me with that power. I want to feel that power. And Dillian accommodated them because, as I was saying, perhaps he should have started going buck wild at the press conference if Tyson Fury wasn't. It didn't look like Dillian clocked on, and it didn't look like Dillian was aware of what was happening. Didn't turn up to the press conference, which was an opportunity to set that tempo, to set it off, kick over a table, try and get to Fury. But it doesn't look like Dillian wanted the ruckus like that. Dillian told Derek, I'm going to come around your house, which really pissed Derek off. That's why they started brawling in the studio. He told AJ, you want to go outside? We can go outside now. But for the biggest moment, his world title opportunity, that aggressive energy seemed to desert him. I don't believe Dillian 100% wanted to fight Tyson Fury for the title. I just don't. He wanted Wilder. That was the fight he wanted. It's all took a toll on Dillian. I think he's tried to be strong even after losing to Fury. He's came out. It was a learning experience, and there's no signs he's going to retire. I like that. I like that spirit. He's not going to let his detractors stop him from being him. I like that. But at the same time, he showed Arkham Barak the emails where Wilder said, I'm going to make you wait. The WBC put Dillian through a lot of shit. He had the UCAD case post-fight, Oscar Rivas. He was decked in that fight. He was frustrated waiting for a shot after that. And then they took away his mandatory position. And he went through a depression. That's why he came in so heavy when he appeared on the Anthony Joshua Ruiz rematch in Saudi Arabia. And he came in at what I think was a career highest weight. He wasn't all there. Frank Warren, Bob Arum with the split, ticket allocation. Did all of this just wear Dillian down? Because he told Jose Sullivan in the build-up to the Fury fight, you make people nearly go mental, nearly go crazy. And he was more animated with Sullivan than he was with Tyson in the press conference. Now, you know, the Tyson Fury fans that I seem to encounter, they're a bit simple. Yeah, they really are. So they're going to take it like you're making excuses for Dillian. There are no excuses. There are no excuses, right? You get dealt with circumstances, and how you deal with them will shape the outcome of your life. It's as simple as that. Dillian, as Jose Sullivan said, why are you looking back in the past? You're looking back in the past. You've got your title shot. And Sullivan, in hindsight, was right, 100%. He was right. But the whole thing is man managing stress. your camp has to be able to manage your stress. And how well did Dillian's team do at that is what you have to ask. If you have a bad camp, it's up to your opponent to suss that you're not mentally right and exploit any apprehension they may see that you don't believe you can win the fight. And that is all fair game. There is no excuses for nobody. But Dillian, I believe, was beaten before he went in the ring. And look, it's all fair game. It's all fair game. Frank Warren, I think he was trying to fuck with Dillian's head, and it's all fair game. The Klitschko's used to put their opponents in shit hotels and give them horrible splits, probably even less than 20% or whatever it was. But eventually, Vladimir lost his belt to Tyson Fury. And Tyson Fury himself said they were trying mental games with him. He accused them of messing with the scales. There's no weight limit, obviously, in heavyweight boxing, but they were still trying to mess with his brain. Like, they apparently collaborated the scales to be lighter when he weighed himself. Peter Fury was asking, have you been eating? And Tyson thought he was around 18.4, but the scales were saying 17.9. He complained about Vlad wearing stilts in his shoes, but that's not really cheating, is it? That's just his own insecurities about being shorter than Fury. And then there was the canvas, the ring canvas, which was literally like a foam mattress. And this is true because Mr. Bashir, who was a part of Klitschko's team, came on my hangout and was talking about it. It's designed to sap your energy away, the sponge canvas, but he'll be prepared for it. His footwear will be prepared for it, and he knows it's spongy, and he knows when to leap in with shots. That's how he fucked up Pulev with the spongy canvas. That's why he was throwing that leaping left hook, because he knew his opponent would be rooted into the canvas. And he destroyed Pulev with them leaping punches, which we'd never seen him do before. And I had idiots in the comment section, oh, he does that all the time. I said, no, he doesn't. No, he does not. So I want to hear no Fury fans, and I hate having that I have to keep making disclaimers. I'm talking about what people do in boxing to win, to gain an advantage. There was issues with the gloves. Fury said he ordered puncher's gloves, and the gloves they gave him were like big cushions, and he said he couldn't get no gloves flown in. It was too late. And he said he took the shitty gloves that he didn't want, but he still won the fight. Team Fury, they bought their own water. Even in the Wilder fights, they bought their own water. They didn't take any chances. This is what you have to be aware of if you're the B side in these fights. You have to be aware. And your whole team has got to be on the ball. And yeah, Dillian avenged the Povetkin loss, but it was a serious knockout, the first knockout. And you have to wonder, no matter how brave he appears to be, has he recovered from that fully, even though he avenged the loss? I mean, Dillian was saying AJ is weird because he came out all passive against Usyk. He was wondering what's the matter with this guy. But what was the matter with Dillian? And the Sun are a bit naughty, saying that Eddie Hearn believes Dillian is no longer a bad motherfucker. He didn't say that. I mean, even when you quote the article later on, he said, the Dillian in the AJ fight is a bad motherfucker. He didn't say Dillian was not a bad motherfucker. He didn't say that. It says here Eddie feared for Dillian, the Brixton boxer, after he was being friendly with Fury in last week's pre-fight media outings. To sum it up, I think the stress of trying to get the Wilder fight that went on and on and on, and then the stress of then getting the Fury fight. You got the court battles, they're still actually ongoing. You know, he's been in litigation with the WBC for must be the best part of 2 years. Then you've got Fury in the ring. That's another big puzzle to solve. Dillian had been knocked out not too long before. It was a lot going in. And you either handle all of it or you don't. And evidently it was a little too much for him. The task was a little too much for him. It wasn't good enough on the day. Fury had his shit, whatever he was going through too, but he turned up. Now, a lot of people are asking about Xavier Miller, Dillian's coach. Dillian left Mark Tibbs for Xavier Miller, and him and Mark were on, what was it, a 10-fight or so winning streak? It's hard to say if that had a bearing on the result, because none of them opponents since he lost to AJ were as good as Fury. None of them. They were very good opponents, the likes of Povetkin. Lucas Brown was unbeaten. Joseph Parker was a former world champion. Derek Chisora twice. They were good fights. but none of them as good as Fury. Some people in the hangout were talking about, was there confusion in the corner because Harold the Shadow Knight was giving instruction and so was Xavier Miller, and Dillian seemed to be tried to absorb what both of them were barking in his ear. What's the future for Dillian? Well, there's still some good fights out there. Still some good fights. There's talk about him signing with Frank Warren. That'd be very disappointing for me after the way Frank's fucked him over with a purse split and shit. But that's his decision. That's his decision.